A Guide to Grammar, the Infographics. Introduction. English is a challenging language to master, even for native speakers. Why? Well, for starters, it's been spiced by many dialects and regional variations. Adjectives. An adjective modifies a noun or a pronoun to give more information about a person, place, or thing. Verbs. A verb is a word that indicates an action or a state of being. It tells the story of the sentence. Verb tenses. Verb tenses relate action to time, telling us whether something has occurred in the past, is happening right now, or will take place in the future. Regular versus irregular verbs. Exceptions to the rule. As if learning about tenses wasn't complicated enough, the English language stumps learners with irregular verbs. In fact, some of our most common verbs are irregular. Pronouns. A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun to add variety and avoid a repetition. Prepositions and prepositional phrases. As you can see from the infographic, these are also known as linking words. A preposition connects a noun or a pronoun to another word in the sentence to show the relationship between the two. Conjunctions or connectors. Think of conjunctions as words that join two parts of a sentence together. Interjections. Expressing emotion. What? Really? You need help on interjections? No way! Sentence functions. A sentence is made up of one or more words and expresses a complete thought in a statement. Question, request, command, or exclamation. Subject and predicates. Major parts of a sentence. Sentences can be very short or very long. At a minimum, though, they must contain a subject and a predicate. How do we make smooth sentences? Subject-verb agreement. There's only one rule about subject-verb agreement. You must make verbs agree with their subject in number and in person. Of course, this is English, so this rule can be tricky to follow. Compound subjects. Compound subjects consist of two or more individual nouns or noun phrases connected by and or to form a single longer noun phrase. Complements. Making sense. We have 5 kinds of complements. While some sentences contain only a subject and a verb, others use more words to make things clearer, tell a story, or ask a question. These additional sentence components are called complements. Phrases. A phrase is a group of words that adds detail to a sentence but doesn't have a subject and a verb. Phrases can be part of sentences but cannot stand alone. Adding detail. We have 5 types of phrases. Clauses. A clause is a phrase with a subject and a verb and any complements that verb requires. Depending on the type, it may or may not be able to stand alone as a sentence. We have different kind of clauses. We'll get into that later. Restrictive clauses and non-restrictive clauses. Categorizing clauses is not easy. Clauses can also be categorized by whether or not they are necessary to the meaning of a sentence. After all, sometimes we need more detail and sometimes we don't. Whereas non-restrictive clauses could be omitted from a sentence without changing its meaning. Parallelism and logical sentences. Sometimes you must organize related thoughts, show that actions are sequential, or build to a climax and make a point. This case is called for parallelism, which means using the same grammatical structure for all the similar parts of a sentence. Capitalization, using uppercase. When you capitalize, you write a word with the first letter in uppercase and the remaining letters in lowercase. Ending a sentence. When ending a sentence, you have 3 choices: a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point. Use a period when your sentence states a fact or makes a command. Apostrophes and contractions. The apostrophe can cause confusion, but it doesn't have to. 3 basic situations require an apostrophe: making a contraction, indicating possession, or forming a plural case. Commas. Creating a pause. The comma creates a slight pause in a sentence and helps readers understand how items relate to one another. Quotation marks show which words are yours and which belong to someone else. Direct quotations. Most commonly, quotation marks show readers the exact words someone said, in the exact order they were said. Colons and semicolons. Proper punctuation is very important. Semicolon indicates a pause that is more significant than a comma but less significant than a period. But most often, they connect two complete thoughts that could be two separate sentences. Hyphens, em dashes, and n dashes. Word dividers. Hyphens and dashes separate words and thoughts. A hyphen is shorter, while n and m dashes are longer. Parentheses set off extra information, material that may not be necessary but can be helpful. We use parentheses to set off a part of a sentence for dates, series, political affiliation, and alternate endings. Brackets. Square brackets are most commonly found in dictionaries, where they enclose the history of the word being defined. Other than this usage, there are a few key places where you'll find them. Parentheses and brackets always come in pairs, with an opening mark and a closing mark. Bold, italics, and underlining all emphasize words. Although you should use these elements sparingly, here's when to use them. In titles, the names of movies, books, poem collections, plays, operas, TV shows, works of art, magazines, newspapers, ships. Ellipses. An ellipsis is a punctuation mark comprising 3 dots, or periods, with no space between them. Ellipses have two main functions: to signal word omission from a quoted passage or to express mood. The slash has 4 main uses in writing. 1. Separates portions of the address in a URL. 2. Stands in for or, as in, students may bring their mothers/fathers to the open house. Abbreviations and acronyms. An abbreviation is a series of letters that serves as a shortened version of a longer word. You still read or speak the full word. An acronym is a new word formed by the initial letters of the word it comprises, identifying your purpose and audience, content and connection. Knowing your specific audience will guide what you write and the words you use. 1. Determine and purpose. 2. Identify your audience. 3. Consider content. 4. Decide on definitions. 5. Create connection. And 6. Call to action. Active and passive voice. Sentences with action verbs and direct objects can be written in active voice or passive voice. Understand the difference between the two. Transitions. Making writing sound natural. We use these to show sequence or explain steps, to indicate cause and effect, to compare, to contrast, to show addition or emphasis, to indicate time, to generalize, to show place. Paragraph structure. I'm guessing this is one of the most boring classes you've ever had in English. A paragraph is a group of sentences united by a single topic or point. Knowing how to construct a paragraph will help you write coherently and persuasively. Fixing repetition and introducing variety. Making writing sparkle. Clarity is important in writing, but so is variety. Keep your readers interested by avoiding repetition in sentence length and word choice. Foreign words and phrases. English is a language of borrowed words with influences from German, French, and many other tongues. When using foreign words and phrases, how do you write them? Improving writing. There are 4 tips to improve our writing. Like any skill, your writing ability improves over time with practice. Here are a few tips that can help. Cliches, generalizations, platitudes, and jargon. Words of caution, tips of avoiding these traps. There's much magic in knowing the right words to use, as in knowing which ones to avoid. Commonly confused words. Learn the difference to avoid mistakes. Homophones are pronounced the same way, but have very different meanings. For example, I and I. Even native English speakers struggle with some words and expressions. Who and whom. Which pronoun? If you struggle to decide whether to use who or whom in writing and speech, just remember, who is always the subject of the verb in the sentence, while whom is the object. More common mistakes. These words can also cause confusion. Commonly misused phrases. Language traps, confusing phrases. Knowing the proper phrase and its spelling can go a long way toward improving your communication, whether it's professional or personal. Modifier problems. In the wrong place at the wrong time. When you're using modifiers, the words should be as close as possible to whatever they describe or elaborate on. Otherwise, mistakes can happen. Run-on sentences and wordiness. Too many words? Trust me, I know exactly what you're saying. Contrary to their name, run-on sentences aren't necessarily long. Fuzzy grammar. When accuracy counts. Throughout life, you'll encounter situations in which total grammatical accuracy is in your best interest. These instances include formal writing assignments such as school papers, exams and published work, and other high-stakes situations such as cover letters and job applications.